Tori the Crafty Girl here, and wow, I have a really cool tutorial for you today. If you haven't seen, Taylor Swift stepped out in New York City this week post Joe Alwyn breakup in these almost $700 area denim jeans. They are fabulous. That rhinestone butterfly is so cool, and guess what? They're sold out, not to mention they're $700. So today I'm actually going to show you a very affordable and easy way to recreate these amazing denim jeans. So let's get started. All right, well, let's start with our supplies. So number one, of course, you'll need a pair of denim. I have this old pair of 501s that I'm going to use, but you can thrift a pair, use a pair you already have, whatever works for you. You'll also need some rhinestones. Now for me, I actually have these rhinestones here. I got these at the Dollar Tree a couple months ago. So they might still have them in stock. They were $1.25 for this whole entire, well, they were in a plastic container. I put them in here. But they do have a beveled side. Flat would work better, but because I'm going to be using hot glue, these will be fine. And plus, it's all that I have. So we're gonna go with this here. You'll also need a way to connect your rhinestones. So you can use whatever glue you have on hand, whatever works. I know that if you have like fabric glue, E6000 fabric glue might work the best, but you know what I have? I have my Gorilla hot glue gun, so I'm going to use this for this project. And then I would also recommend this stuff right here. This is actually called fusible interfacing. And fusible interfacing means that we are going to be able to iron it on to the inside of this denim, and it'll reinforce it. So I know that denim obviously is a nice sturdy fabric. However, when you start cutting out any parts of it, so whenever you do any sort of cutouts, then the fabric loses that stability. So this works as a nice little stabilizer around the ends. You can also, once you create your design, you could just stitch around the area and cut it out, and that will give it some stability as well. And you can do that by hand or by machine. You just have a few options there. Just be mindful that as you start cutting things out, the fabric will definitely get less sturdy. So I would recommend having some of this, and you can get this at your craft store. It's called fusible interfacing, and I always have this on hand for so many different projects. And then of course, the last thing that you'll need is your pattern. So I am starting this pattern right here. What I did with this, and this is a great tip for you, something you can do pretty easily. I don't know if you can see the contrast here. This is just one wing. I'm gonna fold it in half and cut it out so that it's perfectly symmetrical on here. I actually just took an image of the jeans and blew it up on my computer screen and then put this white piece of paper on top of it. And then I just traced it. So that's one option. If maybe you are an artist and you can draw your own butterfly, or you want a specific look, go for that as well. But this works too. And then all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold this in half, and you'll be able to see the tracing behind it and cut it out, and I'll get a perfectly even, in fact, actually, I'll probably do it this way, cut it out and I'll get a perfectly even pattern. And that's what we're gonna use to do our whole entire process. So let's finish this piece up first. And I did measure, this is the width and height that I want for my pants. But again, you can adjust this, whatever. It's going to sit right here and it'll fit about here. So grabbing my scissors that are not fabric scissors. So here is our butterfly pattern. Let's see if we like this. Yes, I do like this. So now what we'll end up doing is I'm going to, another tool you might want to use, you can use a pencil. You're going to be covering this up anyway with your rhinestones, but if you want to use this, something like this is a friction, it's an erasable pen. So what happens is once I trace out the pattern, if for some reason any of it was showing, I could just take my iron over it and it would disappear. But we don't really need to worry about that. So we're just gonna figure out our placement here. Now, if you are, like this is a pair of men's jeans, their pockets are really long because they get all the pockets, which is why I love men's jeans. We are gonna pull those pockets up because you do not wanna accidentally cut into them when we get to that point. and also it'll make it a little bit easier to trace. So if we see in the image, it's not a full-on straight butterfly. So it's not just sitting here, it's kind of hugging her leg a little bit. So we are going to kind of make it like this. That's a little too high. We don't want that side to be, I want this to align to here. So we'll pull it down to about right there. Awesome. Grab my fabric weight and just put it on here so it doesn't move. Put that there so it doesn't move. And then I'm just going to trace this out directly on the jeans. And there you go. So you can kind of see it. And again, this comes off with an iron, but we're going to be covering it with the gemstones. So not a big deal. So there is our butterfly. This is what we will be cutting out. One other thing to keep in mind. So with the pair that are available from Area Denim, you'll find that there are actually cutouts in between here. There are little jewels that kind of go around in between. For my particular gemstones here, for these little rhinestones, these, because they're all individual, I don't think that it would actually work as well to have really tiny little strips of fabric going across here. I feel like that these are going to get heavy. It's going to stretch the fabric even with some of the stabilizer in there. So for me, for my design, I'm actually just going to go just the shape around, and then I'll go through the center as well. And then I think I'll come up through here. But other than that, I'm not going to do too many of those single strips just because of this, but you certainly can. If you have a strip of rhinestones, then that might actually work really well because it'll hold that, its shape. So you could do that as well. All right, so I'm still playing around with the shape with this, and easiest way would be just to cut out each of these wings, leave the centerpiece here, and then do like that. But then I'm playing with, well, what if I did just one strip right here and then cut out here, 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 and here? A lot more work, but you can certainly do it. I think that I'm just going to stick with, again, because I just have these little single ones, let's go ahead and just stick with around. So again, make sure you have marked where you do not want to cut, and because there's two different sides to the leg here, so be very careful you don't cut all the way through. This is not meant to go all the way through. Also, for me, I need to mark this because as I am creating this video, what happens is sometimes my neurodivergent brain gets distracted and I will just make a simple mistake just because I will lose my train of thought. So again, I'm going to cut out here around the inside. We can clean it up after, and then I'm going to cut out here. So I should end up with two distinct holes connected by this center right here. Now, one other thing too you might want to consider is trying to keep these wings in as good a condition as possible. You can reuse this denim for fabric scraps, for making patches. You can even embroider on it and make little buttons. There's so many things you can do with it. So I would say just be mindful of that. Don't just throw it away. We have tons of textiles, tons and tons of textiles in the landfills. We do not need to contribute to that. Okay, so again, scary part, don't get your pocket, don't get the back of your jeans. You can just do not snip your fingers, but you can create a little snip just to get your scissors in there and then follow. And I would recommend cutting to the inside of the pattern because we are going to put the jewels on the outside of the pattern. If you cut on the outside of the pattern, now you're going to make it even bigger, and we're pretty confident with this size right here. All right, and here are two little butterfly wings. Again, I'm probably going to use this, and I will make something out of this. Okay, so now I am going to use that interfacing now that I actually have cut it before I put anything on. What I want to do is go on the inside, because what you'll see is, look at this. If you don't have any interfacing, your shape is pretty much gone. So let's grab our little piece here. So this is fusible interfacing. The top right here, it's textured. So this is what's going to stick to the denim. And this is the part that is not textured. Okay, and then we're also able to see really clearly what our shape is going to be. So this is the shape. So the reinforcing this is going to be really, really important, as well as this, just to keep the shape. We will go back and trim this all up, so you won't have to worry about seeing any of the facing. And the iron that I'm using is my little Cricut. This works so well. I use it anytime I'm working with fabric, because you almost always need to iron something when you're working with fabric. And it has a really great little tip here, and it fits in really small spaces. So it definitely, if you're looking for a little iron to work for your crafts, this will do the job. Now, as I'm staring at this, of course, I'm like, oh, I want to make a couple more changes here. Let's go ahead. We're just going to take this. I do have this, again, texture up. So it's only going to attach to this top side here. And then I do have a little mat, an ironing mat underneath it. So we're just going to, I'm going to start with the centerpiece. Look at that. Definitely reinforced. And this is okay. And you'll see also the ink, as I told you before, this ink that I use, this friction pen, works so well. And then all I'm going to do is just going to go around the edge and hold it there like 20 seconds or so, just to get that melted. I don't need to go in that dead center area, but try not to shift it. Okay, so now we can just cut out the rest of this white here, and we'll get our hot glue gun ready to go. All right, so now I'm going to plug in my hot glue gun, and I'm going to put it on high. We're going to let that heat up. And while that heats up, we're going to take a look at our design. Luckily, it's just a simple shape, so we're just going to be going around and putting them just like so. Again, if you had flatter jewels, this would probably look a little bit better, but this is all I have. So we're going to start from the top. In fact, I might be able to do 2 in the center. No, we'll do single in the center. So we'll go down and we'll go around. And I'm going to start here. I'm going to work my way up and move them on as we go. So let's go ahead and do our first row. And I'm going to do them in small increments. Oh, and also, dang it. What I want to do, I'm going to stick this on here just because I already have glue, is I'm going to put something between the layers so that I don't accidentally glue them together. We'll use this right here, just a piece of plastic. Perfect. Now we can make sure that everything is protected. All right, so we went through and I added all of the jewels. I let it cool just a little bit. It is definitely cool to the touch. The only thing that's driving me a little crazy is this right here, this disjointed. So I'm actually going to add a little bit more glue just to get these two a little bit stuck together. By the way, it did not take that many. I probably could have done a more intricate design, but now I still have some left over for another project. Excellent. So we'll take our little plastic protector out here. And then last thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go around and clean up. I'm going to turn off my glue gun. But I'm going to go around and clean up on the inside here, anywhere that there is like hot glue coming out. I'm not going to use my embroidery scissors. Let's use these. All right, and here's how they actually turned out in the end. Oh my gosh, I'll pop up a picture right here so you can actually see what they look like on. I love how they turned out. If these were for me, this was just more of a demo, but if they were for me, I would actually, I don't like to show a lot of skin, so I would do 4 cutouts here instead of the 2, and then I would just have some jewels going across. But that's how I would change it going forward. Don't forget to like and subscribe for upcycling and crafting content, and until next time, everybody, see ya!